I have very, very strong relationship with quite a lot of Darganung people, including the Sales family, who are quite well known, as have my forefathers and my ancestors before them. They are part of our kinship structure, and they are part of our life and have been part of our life since way before European arrival here in Australia, way before interactions from any other mobs coming in and having a say in our country. Our relationships were strong then, and they are strong now. We have healthy and strong relationships with the Darganung, the Darug, the Wonnarua, the Awabakal. They are our neighbours, and we have always and will always have healthy, good relationships with them.
We would like to have good relationships with Darkinjung Land Council. It'd be good if we could work on that. Love to have it. We'd live in hope, guys, to have good relationships with you. If we can work together, we're going to achieve a lot more. We'd love to be able to.
Guys, we have the CEO of Darkinjung Land Council here. I know it was something
I know you don't have a microphone, so you're having a go at members of the Land Council.
No, we're not having a go at anyone at the moment.
Would you like to come and
As
speak?
much as you can.
Come in and talk, please.
Jake,
Would you?
No, we're hearing
Wait a
noises of
sec.
the birds.
Jake, it's stirring that's happening.
Should we ask Brandon if he'd like to come and speak?
Oh, of course, definitely.
Brandon, would you like to come and speak? Well, everybody's being open here about where everybody stands. You know, this group has invited you to come and speak.
Our governance structure requires that our board need to actually consider the issues, come together, and then they can make a statement.
Are you going to make a statement on your environmental destruction? On the what? Environmental destruction.
As I just said, I've got a pretty damn loud voice. People say I don't need a megaphone. I don't need a microphone. I've been speaking out to my people for years and years and years since I was a child. My grandmother, my paternal grandmother, is a direct line of the Yuin people. And I am so proud to be the Yuin. My grandmother on my maternal side was born to a Darkinjung man. She was born on Pete's Island. She was, her mother was a Pete, one of Pete's daughters, who gave birth to a Darkinjung and white child. Both my grandmothers were classed as half-caste. I've put a lot of that past me. I found family. Guring-gai. They're family to me. Awabakal. They're family to me. Because Darkinjung, Awabakal and Guring-gai all shared this area that we now call the Central Coast. And all we ask is that we all unite together. We had a rally down at the grandmother tree where over 500 people turned up. You know what? There was actually more non-Indigenous people at that rally supporting us to protect our land. All we want is for sacred sites, men's business area, women's business areas to be protected. It's our history. If someone went into a white man's museum and destroyed what was in that museum, there'd be outcry everywhere. But anyone, including unfortunately Indigenous people, can walk into what is our museum, which is our land, our Mother Earth, and destroy stuff. This is the heritage. This is one of my granddaughters, one of my 14 granddaughters and 3 great-grandchildren. Sorry, not 14 granddaughters, 14 grandchildren. I want her to know what's going on. I've got a grandson who is in department care for all the wrong reasons. Every generation since my great-grandmother on my father's side was stolen. Every generation there has been at least one taken to shut us up. I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to fight for what my future generations have a right to see and hear about our culture. She's proud. She had an Aboriginal flag at the Anzac Day March. She was proud because her great-grandfather fought in World War II. He got shot up badly, but he survived because he had the strength of an Indigenous man. We have got to all unite to protect all of our land. It's your land too. You're right, fellas, it's your land too. It's your history of your land that we need to protect. We can't give permission for just land councils or whatever to decide what is going to happen to land that they are not the original caretakers of. Thank you for coming today and thank you for your support, because this means a lot to all of us.
And that's basically the premise of this meeting, isn't it? So what they want to put through is going to harm everybody here. Maybe could you elaborate on that a little bit more so maybe we could understand what this part being passed through would mean for everybody in the Central Coast and for you guys?
Well, I would like to say one thing and probably ask all the Indigenous people here, all the black fellas, whether you're part of a land council or you're just proud of your culture. I'm struggling with the concept of this. How do you pay respect to a traditional owner of a land when they're an organisation? And that organisation began in 1983. Is there an answer? Can anyone out there give me an answer to that? Yes?
I'd like to take you back to the 1930s when people like Pearl Gibbs and Marge Tucker and Jack Patton and all those people started the first big fight in this country for our land, for equality, for everything. And I just feel a little bit out because somebody said something about the Lands Council. And can I just tell you this, that I was one of the people who sat in Redfern and we travelled around with no money, all just thrown in. Travel this country to set up the Lands Council. And that was back in the late 70s. And it was people like those freedom fighters in the 30s who gave us the grounding about our land and our country. And there's massacres out there, full on. I'd take you to 10 of them now if you want to come out on our country. We are still here fighting for what we believe in. So please, we need to stop putting people down. Our ancestors looked after this country for years and years, and we can still do it. But we have to stop. I just take a little bit out of that sign there. You see that sign hanging there? Yep. I made a film called that in 1981. Always was, always will be. I won a Human Rights Award and an award from this community around here, the dark young people. So just be careful in how you phrase your words, because I feel a little bit put out by some of the viewers. Okay? Thank you. No, that's all right, but it was about the Lands Council. It's just about the Lands Council today, because I was one of the people who set it up. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the sake of the people here, could you give a quick explanation as to the Guring-gai being called a myth and not existing? You know, where does the word Guring-gai come from? Where's that confusion started? What are the answers there? Because there's a lot of confusion as to what's going on. Would you mind trying to clear some of that up?
Well, the term was coined by a white fella, John Fraser, who's also coined many other names as well. And actually, a lot of Aboriginal nations have been coined by a white fella. So I'm unsure as to why none of those have been disputed. Only Guring-gai. Maybe it's our rich land and beautiful coastlines and bushland that make it such an attractive an area to dispute. But that's where that confusion comes from. We are not a myth. We are who we say we are. Our descendants are who they were, and they're our ancestors.
That's a lot of people to be making something up if they're making something up.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met probably, I don't know, through you guys about 50 or 60 people, maybe more, that identify as Guring-gai, and I understand there's hundreds or even thousands.
Yeah, correct.
And they know their Darkingnong cousins and friends. I mean, they're related. It was a much smaller gene pool back then, so it must be so hard to feel like you're being, what's the right word, taken out for the second time round.
Yeah, well, unity and respect for our people is really what we're after. We're not after a fight, we're not after anything, we'd like to be recognised as who we are. We'd like to unite and work together, and we'd like respect.
That's where it all starts, eh?
Exactly.
How about respecting Darkinjung as the traditional owners of this land until you can prove in court that Guring-gai, this is Guring-gai land, but can you, Tracey? You can't prove it in court, can you? How many times did you go to court? How many times? How many times did you go to court? Tell the people. Tell the people how many times you went to court and how many times.
Said something passionate but respectful, and let's excuse us, guys. Excuse us. We've just got people talking. It's really important. So can Tracey respond and can people listen, please?
And that's where you've got it all wrong, sister girl.
Tracy, can you explain what's going on with the native title, please?
Yeah, I can.
Every court case that you've had, and I know.
You know nothing.
Auntie,
Let her explain.
You asked a question, Auntie.
What's going on with the native title?
Yeah. So currently our native title claim is on hold. It was due to lack of funds that we retracted it. We did apply through the avenues, Native Title Services Corp and those sorts of avenues which supply funding for Aboriginal groups to go through the native title process. There is of course an enormous waiting list for those funds to be available, and we were told that we would be waiting at least 15 years. So we decided that we would try and fund it ourselves, which we did. We satisfied the registration test. We qualified the courts were quite happy to put in writing that we are most definitely the descendants of the people that we claim to be descendants of, and we are most definitely in the right area. We are the descendants of those people, and others can just get a grip of that and get over it. Our native title claim is able to be enacted at any time our funds become available. It has not been rejected. We have had one sole native title attempt, not several like some people like to claim. I would like them to produce proof of those several.
Yeah, I don't know whether Brandon is still here or not.
I'm not laughing.
But I'm asking a question of the people as representatives of Darkinjung Land Council at the moment. Would Darkinjung, who say that they will support traditional people, Indigenous people, will Darkinjung offer to assist in the donation of money to help this claim go through? Our land councils are supposed to be there to support the people. I'm asking on behalf of my Indigenous brothers and sisters, will Darkinjung assist my brothers and sisters in putting their claim in?
Under the Lands Right Act, they can't actually fund people to go for native title claims. It's not as simple as saying the community should support Guring-gai's claim. Okay, if you want to jump into something, then understand what they can and what they can't do under the legislative.
Legislation can be changed. That's why you're a political party.
It's not under the Lands Right Act. Are you Aboriginal by any chance?
No, but I do.
No, exactly. So all I'm saying here, right, is that can we separate the two issues? Because what's happening is that you want to go around and understand who is the traditional owners of Darkinjung or this Central Coast region, okay? Then you've got the rest of you who are activists around the development at Carryall. Now everybody could actually do...
That's not why we're here.
Hold on. But see, that's what we couldn't hear. That's what we're here to hear, what you were here for. We're trying to give you respect by hearing, except I wasn't laughing. I had this lady who was over there that stopped and asked me a question. So I was answering her. I don't know why you thought I was laughing, so you need to calm down. The other issue is too, is that I don't have a problem with anybody going out and actually saying anything. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, whatever that would be, and we should respect each other. But what we will not cope with is that we have people like Paul Craig that gets on an Aboriginal page and starts calling out Aboriginal community groups or services for things that have nothing to do with the conversation at hand around what this is. So don't attack us when it's got nothing. Bungaree is not part of the Lands Council.
But hang on a minute, why did the council, in its accord that it's ready to exhibit, it's not, that's why we're here, because there's an accord
So can I
being
just,
put on...
My name's Brendan, I'm the CEO of Darkinjung.
Yeah,
the reality is though, you can't ask us for an opinion on something that another entity is actually doing.
But
We're not the council.
It's an accord between...
But we don't own their position.
It's an accord between you and council.
We do have a say, but hang on 2 seconds. What you've asked, you're jumping in. I want to actually come through to here. Because the initial question was, why is council doing something? We aren't from council and we can't communicate that.
My question to you as a journalist is, how did a document make it as far as a council agenda paper that selects certain Aboriginal groups and completely extinguishes the existence of others, make it onto the business paper without your awareness
So
as
hang
the
on 2
CEO
seconds,
of
actually.
the local Aboriginal
So I can
Land
actually
Council?
answer from my position.
Right.
Council has been communicating with us, absolutely.
Right.
And we have been actually looking. And this accord represents something where council, as a non-Indigenous entity, and all the white people that are here fall under that, can actually work in partnership with a legitimate Aboriginal
So
community.
why leave
Hang on 2
Guring-gai
seconds.
off it?
Hang on 2
Why
seconds.
leave
I am not the
Guring-gai out
council.
of it?
I've already explained
How long
to you, I
have
am
you been
not the
in
council.
town, Brendan?
6 months.
Right.
And I am
here,
not the council.
I've been looking at this for as long as I've been here.
And I am not the council.
But you are the Land Council,
We are
and
the
you
Land
have the capacity to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land.
That
And
comes
they are
down
the
to-
coastal
hang on 2
people.
seconds. You're making a claim and you're making a statement without proving it. Darkinjung's
Oh my
position.
God, I've got
hang on
this
2
much
seconds.
research, mate.
Darkinjung's position. Hang on 2 seconds. Darkinjung's position, as has been advocated by the board, if people want to claim that they're traditional custodians or traditional owners, there are legal mechanisms by which they can prove it. So go through that, and the Darkinjung will openly actually admit and work in partnership with them.
The Land Council is open to all Indigenous people
I
in
just
this
say
area.
Absolutely.
So why
Except for
why
us-
is
except hang on 2
Guring-gai
seconds.
don't know.
Guringai are not excluded from our membership. So you need to actually understand the context of the act. Actually, no, they haven't. We've got members of our membership, people on our membership roll that are members of people who identify as Guring-gai, because they have been able to prove their Aboriginality.
Oh, seriously?
It's a requirement under legislation.
Are you questioning people's applications?
Yes, we are.
Yes, they are.
As part of the review process, the members are actually allowed to question.
Their
Absolutely.
to this land, and you question
No,
their
hang on 2 seconds.
Not connection to this land.
Do you know the government is not
I
allowed?
think you need to
Brenda,
actually
You need to
understand
go
the
back
Land
and
Rights
read
Act.
the legislation.
Do you know the government, as in right across the
But
road
again,
here,
we
the
aren't the
children still
government, and we aren't the
live.
Central
Hold
Coast
on,
Council.
hold on. What I'm saying
What will your
is
affiliation with the Central
they,
Coast Council mean after that?
hold on please,
Like, if
what
you
I'm
are looking-
saying,
In what regards?
hold on
The fact that we
please.
can work in partnership
Please.
to resolve the needs of
Please,
Aboriginal
hold on.
people here
I'm
on Central
giving an
Coast. There's
example.
15,000 people that live
Hang
here.
on, Cole. We'll let him
Why
respond
does
first.
Darkinjung insist that they have to ask for proof of our things when the government, police, MPs, the department, whatever they want to call themselves these days, all have it clearly stated that they cannot request proof
Actually,
of
they
your
can.
no.
They can.
Yes, they can.
It's
They can. The
in-
Aboriginal Land Rights Act, 1983, is the only piece of New South Wales
It has
legislation
changed.
that actually legally that has legally
It hasn't
defined
changed,
Aboriginality.
It has
That
changed.
came from the original. Pardon me?
I've got it in court papers.
No, 1983,
From
the Land Rights Act was passed.
the
That was
department
based
that
on a
says they
three-part
cannot
definition that was put forward
ask us
by the
to
National
prove our
Aborigines
identity.
Conference in 1981. That was led by our ancestors and our elders because they were tired of government defining who Aboriginal people are. They were tired of white people defining who we actually are. And they wanted to put the power back in the hands of the community. So the three parts that are actually enshrined in the Aboriginal Land Rights Act are, you've got to have heritage, you've got to be able to prove you're actually Aboriginal. Secondly, you've got to identify yourself to the community that you're claiming to be part of. And thirdly, the community then accepts you as an Aboriginal person.
What's your
Now,
proof?
when
You're
people,
as white as me. What's your proof?
my proof,
Yeah.
I've got all my genealogy, people know who my family are, I've been able to prove it, I've been members of
People who
3
know
land
my
councils.
family are too.
But Colleen, you've never actually presented yourself to the
I-
land council.
Yes, I
That's
have.
enough.
Can I ask a simple question? How many Aboriginal people are on the Central Coast?
15,000, approximately.
So they
And
say.
how many belong to the Land Council?
Pardon?
How many belong to the Land
About
Council?
750 at this point in time. However, if you look at across our Aboriginal organisations, we've got thousands.
And how many turned up to
Are
your
you,
last AGM?
are you speaking
How
tonight?
many
Mate,
turned up to your last AGM?
what's your role?
I've lived here for 48 years.
Okay, you've lived here for 48 years. Are you Aboriginal or you're not?
No, I'm not. I don't
Okay,
even gender.
so then this is Aboriginal business, mate. Appreciate your inquiry, but we're not going to answer that question.
Oh, okay.
Central Coast?
No, he's not from the Central Coast.
Exactly.
Because he's not, none of them are.
None of them are from the Central Coast.
Laurie.
Gomeroi, Kamilaroi, all up north, northwest.
Go back to
Go back to
Madrid.
Laurie. Go back to Narrabri.
Yeah, leave the Central Coast alone. We don't want this here. Stay in.